After the engagement banquet ended, I went to the lounge to find Adrian, only to hear him, drunk, saying to his friend, "I don't love Liana, the person I want to marry is Eva. Do you understand me?" The friend sighed, "Then just go marry Eva. Why did you still get engaged to Liana?" Adrian murmured, "My family wants someone of equal status, they won't agree to Eva entering the Zhou family. Liana likes me, her family background is good, and my parents are satisfied." I lowered my gaze, swallowing the bitterness in my throat. I do like Adrian, but the Liang family doesn't lack marriage alliance options. Lifting my skirt hem to leave, I heard the friend ask Adrian again, "Don't talk nonsense, if Liana comes over and hears this, it won't be good." I paused my steps, wanting to hear what Adrian would say. The next second, Adrian shouted, "I insist on saying it. So what if Liana knows? She loves me so much, even if she hears it, she won't leave me. You don't know how suffocated I've been, during the toasts today, how I wished the person beside me was Eva. In the future, you must marry the one you love, otherwise, you'll end up suffering like me." Hearing this, I couldn't help but force a smile uglier than crying. I never knew that Adrian had agreed to be with me and get engaged under such grievances. I wrinkled my nose, and my eyes involuntarily heated up. Walking out, I collided head-on with a waiter. The hangover soup I had ordered spilled on my expensive gown, and the waiter panicked and apologized. "It's fine, no need to remake the hangover soup. Just pretend I was never here." The hangover soup was something I had arranged early on, because Adrian had been drinking one glass after another tonight. I thought he was happy. Now it just makes me look ridiculous. The waiter wanted to say something more, but I had already hurried out. I sat in the car dazed for a long time, then made a call. "For the wedding in 2 months, can you be my groom?" The other side was silent for a while. "Okay. Grandpa's health is poor, the doctor said he has only a few years left. His greatest wish is to see me get married. As long as I marry, my uncles can't seize the inheritance my parents left for me." So when Adrian proposed to me, I agreed. But today I learned that he was actually in such pain. Returning to the decorated bridal chamber, my heart felt empty. Thinking back to a few days ago, I was happily telling the designer about the scenes I wanted to arrange. In the living room, there were several large suitcases I had people bring over, not yet unpacked, and now they had to be moved away again. A wave of dead silence filled my heart. I fell in love with Adrian at first sight. Our being together was entirely orchestrated by the Zhou family. At first, he was politely distant toward me, later, he began to reciprocate my kindness. I thought he had fallen in love with me. When Adrian called, I was tearing up the large engagement photo in the bedroom. Pressing the answer button, his heavy breathing came through. "They said you left first, why didn't you wait for me?" "I was a bit tired, so I came back first," I said flatly. He was silent for a few seconds, then said, "I have something tonight and won't come back. Tomorrow I'll pick you up for breakfast together." Okay. Today was the engagement banquet. Originally, Adrian and I had agreed to spend our first night together in the new house. After hanging up, I returned to my own place and started searching for my household registration book, but I couldn't find it anywhere. Suddenly I remembered that last time I took it to Adrian's place, thinking it would be convenient for getting the marriage certificate later. Since I no longer planned to marry him, leaving the household registration there wasn't appropriate. The next day, I got up early and went to Adrian's apartment. Adrian often stayed overnight at the company to handle work and only returned to rest in the afternoon. But as soon as the door opened, what caught my eye was a pair of fair, long legs. Eva was wearing the shirt I bought for Adrian, and our eyes met. So the something Adrian mentioned was this kind of thing. "Sister Liana." Eva looked at me in shock, the fried egg in the pan gradually burning. "Where's Adrian?" I asked. He's still sleeping." Eva bit her red lip in annoyance, her expression extremely innocent. I couldn't describe the weirdness of this scene, my fiancé's little secretary, wearing his clothes, making breakfast for him. Perhaps because I had already heard Adrian's true feelings last night, my heart felt nothing but pain. walking toward the bedroom. Eva blocked my way. Sister Liana, this is all my fault, I drank too much, and brother Adrian came to find me because he was afraid I'd be in danger. It was me who initiated it, everything is my fault. You can hit me or scold me, but don't blame brother Adrian. By the end, Eva was sobbing uncontrollably. I tried to go past her, but Eva grabbed my arm. I shook her off, and she suddenly screamed and fell to the ground. Before I could react, Adrian rushed out and pushed me hard, my back hitting the table corner. Intense pain surged, and I gasped. He hadn't even had time to dress, wearing only shorts, the red marks on his neck stinging my eyes. Liana. If you have something, come at me, don't bully Eva. I can explain everything to you. Explain? Explain why he slept with his secretary? I wanted to say something, but out of the corner of my eye, I saw the bracelet Eva was wearing. It was the bracelet Grandma Jo gave me in advance, one that every daughter-in-law marrying into the Jo family would have. But the valuable bracelet was now on Eva's hand. I walked over to confirm, but Eva hid behind Adrian as if seeing a ghost, shouting, "Don't hit me, please." Her shoulders trembled slightly, her silent tears making her look pitiful. Seeing this, Adrian blocked Eva, his face grim. If she wears the bracelet, so be it, Liana, as the young madam of the Jo family, you shouldn't be so petty. Originally unsure, hearing him say this confirmed it. That bracelet I treasured, symbolizing the young madam's status, was on Eva's hand. If you want to marry her, I can withdraw. Adrian was stunned, remembering he couldn't defy his family, his face darker than the bottom of a pot. Liana, it's just a lousy bracelet, if she wants to wear it, let her. I've already let her down enough, can you stop causing trouble? Watching Adrian's heaving chest, I suddenly realized that not loving someone is truly obvious. With me, his emotions never fluctuated. He rarely got angry, but now, for someone else, he was tense-faced toward me, his eyes like cold ice. This realization plunged my heart to the bottom, a wave of fatigue surging from deep within. I'm just here to get something, I'll leave after. I came out with the household registration book, and Adrian stared at me, frowning tightly. What are you taking the household registration for? To marry someone else, to be with someone else. But I felt no need to tell him too much, none of your business. Adrian subconsciously followed me to the entrance, but Eva's weak and aggrieved voice came, "Brother Adrian." Adrian abruptly stopped, watching me slam the door shut. Once out, I called that person again, "When you return, let's get the marriage certificate first." Okay, I've almost handled things here, wait for me. I looked at the blue sky, thinking things weren't that bad after all. At least I left a rotten person. I had people move the suitcases to a large apartment under that person's name and started arranging the bridal chamber myself. Busy until evening, I received a message from Adrian, "I'll have Eva settle abroad, out of your sight, you'll still be the young madam of the Jo family." Satisfied? I speechlessly looked at the message and deleted it. Sorry, I don't want it anymore. Though determined to separate from Adrian, our families still had business ties. Before I dealt a heavy blow, at my birthday banquet, I held Adrian's arm, fake smiling as I accepted all the blessings. Eva, in a white gown with her hair pinned up high, stood smiling beside Adrian when I sat tiredly on the balcony to rest. The two looked quite matching. But I didn't remember inviting her. Until Adrian was called to the study by some elders on my side, Eva came and sat beside me. Just before going upstairs, Adrian had glanced at us worriedly. I knew he was afraid I'd bully Eva. Eva watched Adrian's figure disappear around the corner, picked up her wine glass to toast me. Congratulations, Sister Liana. Congratulating me on my fiancé cheating, or congratulating yourself for climbing into his bed? Eva's smile froze, a flash of jealousy in her eyes. Seeing my bluntness, she dropped the act. You don't think we only slept together last night, do you? Eva smiled smugly, her tone provocative. The night you confessed to brother Adrian and got together, he came to me drunk, hugging me guiltily and apologizing. Sister Liana, you foolishly wished on a shooting star, did it give you what you wanted? My wine glass shook, spilling some red wine on the ground. The night before confessing to Adrian, I had wished on a shooting star. When he agreed to be with me, I happily told him the shooting star had granted my wish. But he just smiled and patted my head. I couldn't help but splash the red wine on Eva's face. Her expensive gown was instantly stained with a red blotch. Turning to leave, Eva gripped my hand tightly and placed it on her neck. "Sister Liana, I was wrong, don't do this to me." I frowned and struggled, but the next second, she flipped backward. The balcony railing wasn't high, the balcony was only 1 floor from the ground. Behind me came Adrian's furious voice. He yanked me away harshly, saw Eva lying unconscious on the lawn, and rushed downstairs to pick her up. He glared at me with red eyes, filled with intense hatred. Adrian sped off to the hospital with Eva. She had a fractured calf but didn't die from the fall. The next day, I trended online. They said the future young madam of the Zhou family was a venomous woman, intolerant of any speck, who pushed Adrian's little secretary off the building. Just because the other party came to the birthday banquet to deliver urgent files to Adrian. Public opinion poured in overwhelmingly, Liang Group stocks fell a lot, and my uncles pressured me to go to the hospital and apologize. Not wanting to alarm Grandpa, I went to the hospital and saw Adrian with a stubbly face and bloodshot eyes. Seeing me at the door, he came over, grabbed my neck, and pinned me against the wall. When I was almost out of breath, Eva's weak voice came, "Brother Adrian, don't do something foolish." Adrian released me. Gritting his teeth, he said furiously, "If we didn't have an engagement, I really would kill you." Then he went to the bed, picked up Eva, and carefully fed her porridge. I watched this scene sarcastically, but Eva shrank back. "Sister Liana, I was really wrong, I beg you to let me go. I'll break off with Brother Adrian." Before she finished, Adrian interrupted, "Liana, get out." My heart was already numb, I turned and left. Photos of me at the hospital were taken by media, and the next day's clarification post came out. Everything was a misunderstanding, accidental. But no one believed it. It seemed someone was subtly guiding the opinion against me. But in less than 2 days, all negative news about me disappeared. I knew he was back. Ethan had liked me during university, but due to his prominent and complicated family background, I rejected him. We hadn't contacted since. After learning of my engagement, he sent blessings through a friend. The night I heard Adrian's true words, I got Ethan's number from the friend, not expecting him to agree. The strikingly handsome him entered the restaurant private room, and I couldn't help asking, "Ethan, was it you who had the trending searches removed?" "Yes." He nodded, looking at me seriously. We quietly had a meal, and Ethan showed me that men could be so gentlemanly. The next day, we got the marriage certificate and simply showed it to Grandpa. The old man was very happy. Grandpa had only seen Adrian once and didn't remember what he looked like at all. The next second, Adrian called, "Where did you go? You haven't stayed in the new house these days? Why can't I see your luggage? Liana, handling the mess you caused is already annoying enough, can you stop throwing tantrums?" I impatiently interrupted him, "What do you want?" Adrian paused, pondered for a moment, then said, "Come back, I have something to discuss with you." Honestly, I could have avoided entangling with him, but if I didn't go, he'd surely find my uncles. Since I was already married, it was time to make it clear to him. Seeing me, Adrian's irritation faded, he quickly walked over and held my wrist. I uncomfortably broke free, but heard him soften his tone, "I think after we marry, let Eva live with us. It's convenient to care for her, and I don't trust others." I looked at Adrian in disbelief, but he was calm about my reaction. "If not for your jealousy flaring and pushing Eva down, none of this would have happened." I originally wanted to call the police, but Eva stopped me. "Liana, you should be grateful to her. I've already asked Aunt Lee to clean the master bedroom. If you want to stay, you'll have to use the guest room then." Hearing these words, I suddenly felt immensely glad I had woken up in time. I opened my mouth, wanting to tell him none of this concerned me anymore, but he impatiently interrupted. "I still need to go to the hospital to care for Eva. If you have questions, contact Secretary Zhang." Adrian stepped to the door when my phone rang abruptly. Angered by Adrian's shameless words, I trembled and accidentally hit speaker. Ethan's cool voice came, laced with utmost gentleness. "Wife, coming home for dinner tonight?" Adrian's steps halted abruptly, his face ashen as he looked at me. "Liana, stop playing these tricks. You think hiring a man to call will make me abandon Eva? Why are you still so obsessed and heartless?" Since that night, Adrian seemed like a changed person, his reactions each time left me speechless. Or perhaps, he harbored resentment toward me. But it wasn't me begging him to be with me. I confessed to him, but he could have refused. This attitude of wanting it all was truly nauseating. Looking at Adrian's disgusted expression, I said coldly, "Actually, I don't care at all what happens between you and Eva. I came here today to make it clear, I've married someone else. Adrian, I wish you and Eva a lifetime together." Adrian froze on the spot, subconsciously grabbing my wrist. "Don't go, make it clear." I flung him off hard. "I've said it clearly enough, I've married someone else, and you can be with Eva happily ever after." Adrian looked at me for a moment, suddenly smiling. "You love me so much, you couldn't possibly want to leave me. That man must be someone you hired to deceive me, right?" Saying this, Adrian's expression showed some panic, seeing me not respond, just looking at him. He furrowed his brows deeply, wanting to ask more, when Eva's call came in. "Brother Adrian, where are you? I want to see you." Her pitiful voice immediately pulled Adrian's thoughts back. He glanced at me, hesitant to speak, finally saying, "Liana, stop throwing tantrums. Once I handle Eva's side, we'll marry and live well." With that, Adrian left without looking back. I watched his back, silently thinking, "Adrian, this is the last time I'll watch you leave me behind." Back at the new house with Ethan, the tall and strong man in an apron looked inexplicably cute. But what I truly didn't expect was his excellent cooking skills. Seeing my eyes light up from the food, he couldn't help laughing and said, "You're so cute." I was stunned, no one had called me cute before. Most people's first impression of me was cold and aloof. I slowly smiled, suddenly feeling that having someone to eat with was quite nice. Previously, blindly in love with Adrian, come to think of it, he hardly accompanied me for meals. Each time, he seemed to be looking at his phone, appearing anxious and restless. Now thinking back, he was probably thinking of Eva then. I didn't visit Eva in the hospital again, nor did I contact Adrian. The wedding was in a month, except for the groom change, everything proceeded as usual. But if I didn't provoke others, others would provoke me. Probably knowing only a month left for the wedding, Eva's unwillingness began to show openly. She got my number and sent me picture messages. It was scenes of Adrian cooking for her personally, with the caption, "Have you ever had this?" I knew she wanted to show off. After all, Adrian had never cooked a meal for me, and even when eating out, he always let me choose the restaurant myself. Now it seemed all that was just charity. But I didn't plan to respond to her, nor delete the chat records. I wanted to see what more trouble she could cause. Packing luggage, I went abroad with Ethan for our honeymoon. The Shin family's business mainly deals abroad, so Ethan's return this time wasn't easy. After the wedding, I might go abroad with him for a while. I had a talent for painting since childhood, but since being with Adrian, I hadn't painted anymore. Just because he once said his deceased mother also loved painting, and it would remind him of her. Now separated from him, whatever reminders he has are none of my concern. I picked up the brush again, longing to hold my own art exhibition in the future. Ethan supported all my decisions and encouraged me. "I've always believed in you, from the first sight of you, I believed in you. I think compared to criticism, many people prefer being believed in. The power of belief is immense." So when he said it, my heart skipped a beat. Ethan seemed like someone worth getting to know well. But with good things come bad ones. When my uncles called, I knew Adrian had asked them. Because I had blocked all of Adrian's contacts, not wanting him to reach me. Coincidentally, the honeymoon was ending, and I had to return to the Leong family. Originally, Ethan wanted to accompany me, but I told him, "You believe in me, right?" He looked at me and nodded slowly. Then keep believing, I can handle these family matters. I didn't want Ethan to contact the cannibalistic elders of the Leong family. With their shameless behavior, they'd surely demand cooperation from him. I slowly walked into the Leong family hall. Adrian sat aside with a grim face. Uncle pretended to be cold-faced, scolding me, "No matter how you throw tantrums with Adrian, there should be a limit. You harmed someone's secretary to fracture, and won't let Adrian compensate. Is this how the Leong family taught you to behave?" Little uncle chimed in, seeing me silent, their faces grew even uglier. Adrian glanced at them, stood up to defend me. "Uncle, little uncle, don't be too angry, Liana is indeed a bit spoiled. Once we marry, I'll discipline her properly." To him, it was defense, but to me, it was humiliation. I was glad I heard his true words that night and woke up. I said coldly to Adrian, "What you said to your friend that engagement night, do you really think I don't know? Since marrying me grievances you so, I'm willing to give up the position of Zhou Young Madam, to fulfill you and your mistress secretary." "Adrian, what right do you have to discipline me? You disgusting thing." Adrian was stunned, his face alternating pale and red. Uncle and little uncle exchanged glances, smoothing things over. Men inevitably have some flings around. "Liana, don't be so ungrateful. Marrying into the Zhou family ensures a lifetime of wealth. What more are you dissatisfied with? Is it ensuring my wealth, or your Leong group's prosperity? Since you care so much about the Zhou family, let your sons marry into it. What's with aborting daughters?" Uncle and little uncle favored sons over daughters. For the first child to be a son, they aborted daughters. This led to aunt and little aunt's poor health, unable to bear more after sons. Thus, the Leong family had thin heirs. There were illegitimate children outside, but they weren't legitimate. At these words, Uncle threw the scalding teapot at me. Adrian quickly pulled me away. He turned to Uncle, anger growing in his eyes. "The Zhou Young Madam isn't for you to discipline, just mind your own duties." With that, Adrian took me out of the Leong house. He carefully observed me, his gaze not missing any inch of my face. "Are you injured?" I zoned out for a moment, looking at Adrian before me, not understanding the concern in his eyes. I was fine, but Adrian had been splashed with a few drops of hot water, his arm skin starting to redden. I broke free, "I'm fine." My distant attitude made Adrian frown. He started to get irritable, not understanding why my recent abnormality lasted so long. "Can you stop making a fuss, Liana? If not marrying me, who will you marry? You know your situation in the Leong family better than I. Once your grandpa goes, your uncles will skin you alive. Liana, be smart. I only slept with Eva twice, I can't marry her. The Zhou Young Madam will always be you. Only you can bear the Zhou heir. I know you love me a lot, Liana, you can't leave me, right?" A wave of desolation rose in my heart, feeling it unworthy to have loved Adrian. Why? He could say all this so casually. The weather forecast said typhoon winds these days. The wind was mild, but rain came. A bodyguard came to hold an umbrella, scolded away by Adrian. Soon, we were soaked. He was forcing me to compromise, but how could I want such a disgusting person anymore? I gazed at Adrian, seeing deep in his eyes the expectation for my compromise. But I said, "Adrian, you truly disgust me." The fervor in Adrian's eyes faded. Eva got out from his car's back seat, crying and calling him. "Brother Adrian." Adrian looked over, a sudden irritation rising in his heart, but the next second, Eva couldn't hold and knelt on the ground. Adrian still ran over and supported her. Eva held his face and kissed him. Adrian didn't refuse. He was deliberately provoking me, and now he was masterful at it. I heard Eva say, "Even if you never marry me, I'm willing to stay by your side, forever." Even though I'd given up on Adrian, it didn't mean this scene wouldn't sting me. I was like the witch breaking them apart. People around lowered their heads, unsure if pitying me or them. I turned to leave. Adrian shouted, "Liana! Don't regret it." I left without looking back, taking a cab back to the new house with Ethan. Even after changing clothes, I felt trembling all over. I had a fever, murmuring dazedly, feeling someone apply a cooling patch to my forehead. Trying to feed me medicine, I barely opened my eyes. It was Ethan. He was travel-worn, clothes unchanged. I was still worried about you. I caught the earliest flight back, good thing I made it. His voice held lingering fear. I couldn't describe the thrill in my heart, hugging Ethan and sobbing. Besides Grandpa, at this moment, I felt I'd met someone who gave me a sense of belonging. At night, Eva's message came again. In the photo, both exposed smooth arms, under the blanket, their bodies probably unclothed. Adrian held her, buried in her neck sleeping deeply, while Eva looked smug. She said, "See? As long as I act pitiful, he'll come to my arms immediately." But not long ago, Adrian had also sent a message, "Stop fussing, this is tiring everyone. I promise, after settling Eva, I'll live well with you, I won't have anything more with her. Forgive me." Provoked so many times, my heart was long dead ashes. I couldn't hold back any more, sneering. "Eva, you'd better stay this arrogant forever." I turned and buried into Ethan's warm embrace, sleeping deeply. With the wedding approaching, I should focus on being the most beautiful bride. During these fever days, Ethan varied ways to make stomach-nourishing foods. He said he had a nutrition certificate, knowing how to pair foods deliciously and healthily. Indeed, the pounds lost since discovering Adrian's attitude were regained thanks to Ethan. I asked if such vacation affected him. He said the company is family-owned, vacation whenever. But only I knew the busy Shin CEO, whom many wanted to meet, was home daily cooking for me lately. I felt a bit guilty, letting him handle work in the study while I nestled in the studio painting. This feeling was magical and beautiful, my heart gradually calmed. On the wedding day, Zhou family, Liang family, and other business partners. Shin family only has grandma left, so we planned another abroad later. This wedding was just my announcement. Adrian appeared, Eva sat below, full of unwillingness. I slowly smiled. When asked if willing, I said unwilling. Everyone frowned, asking what was going on. I showed the ring on my ring finger and took out the marriage certificate. "Sorry, because I'm already married." Everyone froze. Zhou family's faces were grim enough to drip ink. Uncle immediately stood, pointing and cursing me for lacking manners. Adrian also cold-faced, "Fun? Must you do this? You're married? Where's he? Liana, you're really boring." Just as Adrian finished, Ethan in noble suit appeared in sight. He slowly walked over, gentle smile on face. Seeing him, I happily smiled. Adrian frowned tightly at us. Panic and discomfort in his heart, as if something slipping away. "Ethan? What are you doing here?" Adrian stared sharply, rudely asking. Ethan ignored him. He took my hand, kissed it. "Naturally to pick up my bride. The helicopter is waiting outside, we'll take Grandpa to see my grandma." My eyes reddened, knowing Ethan always handled everything. Uncle used Grandpa to bind me, forcing alliance. But the object was Adrian, whom I loved at first sight. Now thinking, my taste wasn't great. People introduced by Uncle, how good could they be? Placing my hand in Ethan's palm, Adrian suddenly grabbed me. "Liana, where are you going?" I flung him off and ran to the door with Ethan. Everyone exclaimed, but I was happy, liberated, fearless. At this moment, my soul was free. At the abroad wedding banquet, Grandpa chatted happily with Shin Grandma, while back home, everything had turned upside down. At the banquet, Zhou young madam tore off veil, ran hand in hand with true love. I trended, shaming Zhou and Liang families. In pictures, I smiled happily, unlike my previous calm demeanor. So media titled it True Love. Thinking I was forced into alliance, mustered courage to run with true love. Some blessed us, some cursed. In this matter, only Eva was happy. Her leg healed well, able to walk with crutches. She looked at desolate Adrian with pity, suddenly feeling uneasy. "Brother Adrian, I'll accompany you tonight, I can't bear leaving you alone." Eva deliberately pressed her body close, but he gently pushed her away. I want to be alone, have the driver take you back. Eva frowned, but Adrian's signaled bodyguard gently pushed her out. She glared indignantly at the closed door, unwilling to leave. Adrian went to the decorated master bedroom, gaze drawn to the frame. Our photo, only half with him left. He smiled bitterly, regretting not noticing my change earlier. But he still didn't believe Liana, who loved him so, would abandon him just like that. He had someone find my and Ethan's abroad address, but was stopped by Eva guarding the door. "Brother Adrian, don't go." Eva cried, looking weakly at Adrian. She tried to hold his hand, but he jerked away like shocked. "Go back and rest well, I'll send someone to care for you." Eva saw Adrian's determination, finally couldn't help asking, "Why must you find her? Where does that leave me?" Adrian didn't know why he must find Liana, he was panicked inside. He even thought, if she'd turn back, he could give his life. Turns out, he'd fallen in love with her unknowingly. Ignoring Eva's cries, Adrian went to the airport. When seeing Adrian, I was painting in the yard. When the servant told me, I was actually surprised inside. Adrian was stubbly, still in that wedding suit but wrinkled, quite disheveled. "Something, Mr. Adrian?" The 3 words Mr. Adrian made his face pale instantly. "Must you hurt me like this, Liana?" His voice trembled. "I just found him inexplicable. Who was this deep affection act for? When you slept with the secretary, did you think how that would hurt me? You blindly accused me for your mistress, did you think that would hurt me? I have misophobia in every aspect. For a rotten person like Mr. Adrian, I don't want to look again." Adrian's body swayed, he held the nearby wall to steady. His gaze at me was utterly dim, bitter smile not reaching eyes. Eyes red, he begged, "Give me another chance." Ethan came out, smiling at me. "Wife, the soup is ready, drink while hot for best taste." I smiled and agreed. To Adrian, cold-faced, "Go back, Mr. Adrian." Adrian didn't go, he stood outside our house all night. His back extremely desolate, looking especially downcast. But I only felt ironic. Adrian finally returned on the 3rd day. After all, Joe Corp needed him. Uncle and others were very angry I took Grandpa over, but due to Ethan, they didn't dare rage, even begged me to send Grandpa back. I asked Grandpa's opinion, he wanted to live abroad too. Though bad to me, they didn't dare to Grandpa. I set aside exhibition prep, took Grandpa back home. But just landing, several burly men tried dragging me into a car. If not for Ethan's worry and secret bodyguards, I wouldn't know where I'd be now. Ethan, furious, directly found Adrian and beat him hard. Adrian, bewildered, learning I was kidnapped, broke into cold sweat. But he quickly realized, went to Eva? He grabbed her neck, grimly roaring, "Was it you who hired them?" Seeing exposed, Eva dropped act, crying and roaring, "So what if it was me? I wish Liana died without a corpse. Last time with the balcony fall, I wished you'd strangle her. Why does she get what I want without effort? Why can't you defy family to marry me, Adrian, you heartless man?" Adrian's face pale, he knew it was all because of him. Meanwhile, news of my cheating during engagement trended. No need to think, knew who's doing. Adrian looked at deranged Eva, knowing she was beyond saving, he sent her to police. But suddenly relieved inside, feeling more guilty toward me. Opinion suppressed by Ethan, but more cursed me. Even conspiracy theories said I sent Eva to prison. Originally thought going abroad would suffice, but Grandpa, frightened, wanted me by side. But crazy netizens staked out nearby, attempting to douse me with gasoline. No choice, I published Eva's provocative messages on my never-posted social account. Even Adrian's drunk chat friend that night spoke up for me. Opinion then reversed, extreme netizens arrested. But for this, Joe stocks fell a lot, Adrian busy handling company, overwhelmed. But when I was leaving abroad, he still came to see me. Eyes full of bloodshot, utterly exhausted, low pressure around. But he just quietly looked at me, eyes with intense, unresolvable sorrow. "Wish you happiness, Liana." I didn't speak, just nodded. Adrian watched my back disappear, finally couldn't hold tears. Due to this, Zhou stores shrank from 100 to 15. Zhou family lost former glory. Liang naturally didn't benefit. Years later, Grandpa passed, Liang declined. Later, yearly back to pay respects to Grandpa, Uncle and Little Uncle's smiles always stretched to back of head. Later, I had a daughter, Adrian sent blessings via friend, I didn't respond. Later, I held exhibition, Adrian came, personally bought a painting, asked for my signature. Later, I never saw Adrian again. Just heard he wasn't doing well. But that's none of my business. Ethan has dinner ready, daughter and I going to eat. Daughter's palate spoiled, school lunchboxes handmade by dad. Classmates often share her lunch, envying her dad's skill. I smiled, for the rest of life always with anticipation. Only regret, should have been with Ethan in university. Then next life, anyway, already booked.